Hello and welcome back to CEO.CA's coverage from the Precious Metals Summit at Beaver Creek 2024. I'm joined today by Peter Espig, President, CEO and Director of Nicola Mining. They trade on the Venture Exchange under the ticker NIM. Peter, great to have you on the show today.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
How are you finding the conference so far?
I find it interesting. What I really enjoy this conference is I'm also listening to other companies present.
Yeah.
And so you can see the different styles, and so you learn from that, and you can see other interesting opportunities. So I've also had some very good meetings. So it's a great conference.
Okay, fantastic. Sounds like it's been a busy day, a busy couple of days.
Yeah.
I want to maybe kick things off with a quick overview. For people who aren't familiar with Nicola, what should they know about the story?
We're a very unique company. So we really have 5 key assets. They're all in British Columbia. They're all synergistic. So, our philosophy is that, if you're a junior mining company, you need to have your assets close to one another so that there are synergies, because having them all in different jurisdictions don't help. So we've got, what our key asset, our flagship asset is our Craigmont copper mine, which is the highest grade copper mine in history in North America.
Yeah.
We then have the Merritt Mill. The Merritt Mill is a silver gold producing. We produce gold silver concentrate. We own a silver mine called Treasure Mountain Silver Mine, which is off the Coquihalla. We have a rock quarry gravel pit, and we're in the process. This month we'll complete construction of a cement plant, or a cement plant, a ready mix plant. And we also own a 75% economic interest in Dominion Gold. And all of these are fully permitted, and they're all synergistic with one another. Okay,
yeah, it's certainly an interesting approach, looking for those synergies. And it sounds like you've got maybe some good optionality here with, some diversified interests. I want to talk a little bit about the Merritt Mill.
Yep.
We're currently producing gold concentrate from Talisker Resources mill feed.
Correct.
Can you give us a bit more context behind that?
Yeah, so the real background is that Nicola, so the Merritt Mill is the only mill in British Columbia permitted to receive third-party material from anywhere in the province. So our permit reads, Nicola Mining has the right to accept and process gold and silver mill feed from anywhere in the province of British Columbia, subject to notifying the Ministry of Mining 10 days ahead. So it's a very, very strong worded permit.
Yeah.
So what we have in British Columbia is, it's a safe mining jurisdiction, but it's hard to get permits. So we've been approached by numerous players, numerous projects who are looking to monetize the material that they have in the ground, and they see our mill as the monetizing event. So last year we did Osisko, this year we're doing Talisker, and we're seeing that pipeline that we have increase exponentially, like on a quarterly basis now.
Okay, interesting. And in terms of those processing, what are the kind of financial agreements looking like there?
Well, they're confidential, right? So,
worth a try.
No, it's worth a try. But in general, we don't do cost plus agreement like that. That's because we want to be a partner we want to be a good partner. We have a strong permit, so we're well situated there. So, really, we want to enter into an agreement that is profit focused, because we want them to cut their costs, they want us to cut our costs, and both sides want to make profit. So that's the type of agreement we like.
Okay, got it. Interesting. Craigmont,
sure.
Talk about it. You're partway through, I think, 1,500 meters or so through a 5,000 meter campaign. What are you hoping to get out of the program? What are some timelines? When can people expect uploads to that?
Yeah, so I mean, the Craigmont, the historic Craigmont mine, it's almost hard to fathom that it exists like it does. So, and I say that because the mine operated from 61 to 82, and it's the highest grade copper mine, major copper mine in the history of North America. So the average grade of the pit was 1.3%, the underground 2.68. So these are very prolific copper grades. Once the mine started, they did no exploration drilling. Okay. So, and then in 1982, it was owned by Placer Dome, and subsequently after that, there was a MBO, a management buyout of the assets from Placer Dome, but they were interested in the magnetite operations of the historic tailings.
Okay.
So there was absolutely zero, if you think of it, zero exploration done at the highest grade copper, major copper mine in the history of North America from 61 to up until 2015. 2015 is when we consolidated the ownership, Nicola Mining did. The first hole we did was in 2016, and that was 85 meters of 1.1%. So we've proven the grade. So the grades are there. We then, after 2019, kind of stepped back and said, let's do a lot of geotechnical work. So we did 3 years of geotechnical work, electromag survey, a ZTEM survey, mapping, IP. And then this is the first year we've put that all together. We've, superimposed the geotechnical data. And now we're targeting the three main zones, are the zones that we're most excited about, which is the WP, the MARB, and the CAS. And as of today, we are in completing our first hole in the MARB section. And these places have never been drilled.
Okay. Yeah. No, very exciting. Lots of upside potential there. For this kind of latest round of drill holes, do you have a sense of timelines when those assays might be processed?
I would say October, November, we'll have those assays. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, excellent. I'm sure lots of people will be we're looking forward to that.
Trust me, so are we.
So you mentioned a lot about geotechnical work there. You've observed alteration, mineralization throughout the periphery here. Do you think we're seeing a defined porphyry system, and what would the significance of that be?
Well, so to step back again, so like we are adjacent to Highland Valley copper. Highland Valley, so we are the highest grade major copper mine in the history of North America. Highland Valley is the largest copper mine in the history of Canada. And we're approximately 1/3 of their land package size, except, we're not drilled. So we're on the same fault. We're on the Quesnel Trough, and then there's a Spence's Bridge like fault, which goes east-west, north-south, right?
Yeah.
And we know unequivocally that the historic mine was associated with a porphyry system. Although it was skarn, it's associated with a much larger body. So we've, in the drilling in the WP, we've seen porphyritic type of mineralization. We're drilling in the MARB zone now, and we're seeing all the remnants we're seeing both skarn and porphyry.
Yeah.
But, having a porphyry there, I mean, I would say this, like, to me, it doesn't really matter if it's skarn or porphyry. What matters is size and grade. And so, yeah, we'd love to see a porphyry. We expect to find a porphyry. We're in a porphyry environment as we speak today, but the main point is find copper grade, produce copper concentrate, because the markets are agnostic to whether that's a porphyry system. Like, everyone likes to use the word porphyry, but
yeah,
me as a finance background guy, for me it's about grade and value that's most important.
Okay. No, very interesting. I guess you touching on that kind of MARB exploration work and ongoing campaign. When you're planning this drill campaign, how are you prioritizing targets, and what were you really looking for with that?
We're prioritizing targets based on geotechnical data. So the IP really gave us great data in the WP. So we drilled 4, 5 holes in the WP. Now we're taking that back, getting the assays done. We don't know what the grades are, but what we do know is we know we have copper here. So, and we found copper in every hole. So, so they're, the size of these zones are quite large. So within those zones, there could be more than one porphyry. We need to, one thing that I often say, and I was advised this from one of our directors who said, don't get your mind focused on finding one porphyry, because we could have multiple porphyries on our property. So the same thing is with the MARB. So the MARB and the CAS are based on electromag surveys. There's very strong anomaly footprints that are also supported by outcroppings of copper. So we have copper outcroppings, geotechnical data, and that's why we're focusing on these areas.
No, very interesting, and sounds like a pretty comprehensive strategy there. I want to take a little bit of a step back here and kind of review the macro environment. It's been a very challenging period for a lot of the juniors, and especially in 2024, we've seen commodities like gold pushing all-time highs, and very little of that value being reflected downstream in the exploration sector. What's your perspective on it, and how does those commodity prices impact Nicola?
Yeah, so great question. So I'll answer that in two parts. So Nicola is positively affected by the metal, let's call it the metal prices. And the reason we are positively affected is because we are producing. And therefore, as the metal prices are higher, now, we've generated cash flow for over 2 years now. So the cash flow that we have supports our operation. So we're not in a position where we need to go to the market to keep the lights on type of company. So we have our cash flow, to the point where we're able to invest in other companies. So the market should look at us and say, they are able to produce, they're able to monetize that. But if you think of gold prices and think of gold projects or silver prices, copper, silver, gold, copper, then you look at the commodity prices. Well, the reality is that at the period where these prices have gone up, it's also become more difficult to get permits. So the cost of getting a permit, doing a feasibility study, your environmental impact studies, your drilling, all the costs associated with it becoming a mine to get into production have quadrupled. So, and then the permitting, length of permitting. So gold has gone up, but for a lot of the junior mining companies, their goal of actually getting into production to, benefiting from the increased metal prices have been extended.
Yeah.
So you're net zero. If not, this is actually even more difficult. So I get it, where investors who've become more cognizant and understanding of the difficulties and complexities of getting permits and the costs associated with completing your exploration and doing all these studies, that's the reason why I think there's a mismatch between the mining stocks and the metal prices, and could be somewhat justified.
Yeah, it's an interesting environment that certainly favors people with cash flow and production. I guess what's your take on you mentioned there that in these kind of time periods, a lot of juniors face significant delays and higher costs. Is that just simply cyclical, or is there a backlog of permitting that lengthens these timelines? Well, why are people afflicted by this so much?
Well, I think it's here forever type of thing, where young people are more, and rightfully so, they're more concerned about the environment.
Yeah.
Indigenous groups and communities have a much bigger say in what gets approved in their jurisdictions, and governments are there protecting the environments, the waters, and you saw that recently with Victoria Gold. It's these mine mishaps that cause governments to inherently become more and more concerned.
Yeah.
And so, it's not part of a cycle. I mean, the metal prices, those are cyclical. But as far as what it takes to become a mine and to get the permits, and this is where, Nicola has a significant advantage in that we have a copper permit, we have a gold, silver milling production permit, we have a silver mine permit, we have a rock quarry permit, we have a permit for a gravel pit. So we're permitted, right? So, and those permits, people ask well, how long do they last? When do they run out? Well, they're essentially in perpetuity, right? So, so that's the strength of having a permit, but it is more and more difficult to get your permits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think there's been a lot of interesting points of discussion today. I guess just to wrap up, maybe if we can summarize, in your view, there's a lot of stories out there for investors to take a look at it and get exposure to the commodity sector. Why should they be looking at Nicola, and what makes Nicola unique?
Well, I think what makes Nicola unique is that, we have permits. Why should people look at Nicola? We have, and it's almost hard to comprehend, that we have the highest grade major copper mine asset in the history of North America that's largely unexplored. We're able to explore it, but remember, we're permitted. So we provide shareholders the upside of exploration. We also provide the stability of cash flow. So you've got your upside, but you're hedged on the bottom. And, there's a Japanese saying, turkeys fly like eagles in a typhoon. And when the markets are good, it's always easy to raise money.
Yeah.
But when the markets are tough, that's when the good companies survive. And we're one of those. So we're here for the long haul. We've got a lot of exploration upside. And we also have the opportunity to roll up some of these smaller gold projects in British Columbia. So we've got the ability. So we recently did an investment of $1 million into Blue Lagoon. We did an investment into Dominion Gold. So we have that ability to help these projects move forward to get their permitting with the knowledge that that material is going to be shipped to us. So we're in a very unique position. So we've got the ability to do consolidation. We also have the exploration upside. And again, to end it, we have that support of the cash flow on the downside.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, certainly a perfect storm of market factors, and sounds like things are lined up well at Nicola for success. Peter, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.